What if Terastallization changed more than just your type? What if it changed how your ability works? Rillaboom with a fire Terra type could create fiery terrain. Water Absorb could become Ghost Absorb or Dragon Absorb, or whatever you want. And what if it didn't end there? What if your Terra type also affected your moves and even items? In the custom showdown format Tera Override, this is exactly the premise. A Pokemon's Terra type will overwrite any move, item, or ability that has a type specified in it. For example, on Water Absorb, it says that you will heal if hit by a water move and you are immune to water as well. If your Terra type is Dragon, every instance of the move Water is replaced with your Terra type, which is Dragon. So when hit by Dragon moves, you heal, and you are immune to Dragon instead. Every instance of a type is overwritten by whatever your Terra type is. And this has unbelievable ripple effects. And the craziest part is, in this format, you don't even need to terastallize for this to take effect. Your Terra type just impacts all of your abilities and moves and items innately. The possibilities for team building and overpowered synergy are truly astronomical in this format. And do you know who is perhaps the most powerful Pokemon in this format with these rules? It's not who you'd think. It's Bombirdier, for goodness sake. Bombirdier becomes insane in this environment. Do you know why? It's because Bombirdier has this ability right here, Rocky Payload. Rocky Payload reads that your offensive stat is multiplied by 1.5 while using a rock-type attack. You can overwrite the word rock with one of your stab types instead, usually dark. So if Bombirdier has a dark stab type, it just gets a 1.5x offensive stat, which ends up being pretty insane because Bombirdier has knockoff and U-turn available to it, and Sucker Punch. Guess what the hell else this means? Gems are back in Tera Override. The normal gem is the only gem in the game since Gen 5. They got rid of all the other gems, but because of the Tera Override system, a normal gem will get overwritten by whatever the Pokemon's Terra type is, and basically act like, in this instance, a dark gem, because it's matching the dark Terra type. So Bombirdier here can get bonus damage on a dark move once that is boosted by dark payload with a dark Terra type. If it Terra's dark, it's even stronger, for goodness sake. Bombardier is insanely powerful in this format. You know who else is really good in the world of Tera Override that you would never think of? Florges. Florges is a mono fairy type utility Pokemon that is usually outclassed by other options like Clefable and Hatterene. But in this world, its ability is not useless for once. Florges has the ability Flower Veil, which reads that this sign's grass types cannot have their stats lowered or status inflicted on them by other Pokemon. Useless in singles because, of course, you are not a grass type. If you have an ally in doubles that is grass type, it might be useful, but even then it's kind of a bad ability. But in Tera Override, you can change that grass type text to fairy by just having a fairy Terra type, and now your Florges is completely immune to status and stat lowering. It can't be hit by webs or anything like that either, or like a Luster Purge or breaking mechanics that lower defensive stats. It's immune to all of that. It's kind of like Clefable with Purifying Salt, except it also has good stats. Clefable doesn't have very good stats. This guy has 154 special defense, and it's got a solid move pool with Wish, Protect, and Psychic Noise for a bit of anti-defense. Florges becomes excellent in the world of Tera Override for once, turning its ability into an amazing status immunity. Now this metagame has a rule in it that a lot of people actually want in regular OU, and that is the system of Terra Preview. In this format, you can see all of your opponent's Terra types and they can see yours. I think that the reasoning for this is pretty obvious, with Terra having even more impact than it usually does, affecting literally every ability and move with a mention of a type. The surprise value in this format would be pretty insane, wouldn't it? Any Pokemon with an immunity ability can be immune to any type of its choosing, and it's kind of ridiculous if you don't even know what the hell that type is. I mean, Heatran with Flash Fire can change itself to Flash Ground and be immune to ground. That's pretty insane. Hisui and Goodra is actually really good because Sap Sipper can grant you an immunity to fighting or ground. You get the picture, don't you? The possibilities are endless, so being able to actually see what Terra type is influencing the opponent's tools is a huge, important factor for actually being able to play around your enemy's team and not be completely caught off guard by nonsense. And it makes this format kind of interesting strategically, because even though the options are endless, you do know exactly what your opponent is building towards with their Tera type completely visible to you. So maybe you're less likely to be caught off guard than in regular OU, I don't know. Now, one of the craziest ways to abuse this Tera Override system is with terrain, because of course, even terrain is impacted by the Tera Override. The ability Grassy Surge basically executes the move Grassy Terrain on switch in, and the move Grassy Terrain itself is modified by the Tera Override. So Rillaboom here with a Tera Water will modify Grassy Terrain to boost the power of water type attacks rather than grass type attacks. It doesn't have its own custom terrain for water, but it basically makes watery terrain. You could think of it like that. And the synergy here is obvious. Water terrain plus rain means even further water-type damage stacking. Now you may be asking me, Jimothy, if the Tera Override affects terrain in this way, wouldn't it also affect weather? Couldn't you have weather be altered to affect any type? Well, interesting question, viewer at home. Interesting question, because you're absolutely right. The Tera Override does affect weather. But you'll notice that this player, Sunshine Gulch, who built this team, gave Pelipper a Stellar Tera type, specifically so that Tera Override didn't affect it, because Stellar is not a real type, so it's not going to alter the effects of anything. It's going to keep everything normal. The reason for this is that if you changed Pelipper's Tera type to, for example, Poison, and you think, whoa, you can make Poison Rain, how novel. Well, if you look at what Rain Dance actually says, it amplifies the damage of water-type attacks and reduces the damage of fire-type attacks. That is mentions of two types. So if your Tera type is Poison, it will first multiply the damage of Poison-type attacks by 1.5, and then decrease the damage of Poison-type attacks after that by multiplying by 0.5. Both type mentions are just overwritten by the Tera type. So the result is that you just end up reducing the damage of Poison-type attacks by multiplying them by 0.75. So it just results in a damage reduction for Poison-type attacks. Now that could be kind of useful defensively to nerf the damage of a particular type. But, you know, for a traditional rain team, you'd rather actually just have normal rain and have it boosted even further by water terrain from Rillaboom. Because terrain only boosts the power of one type. It doesn't have this awkward effect with the Tera Override that actually results in a damage reduction for the type of choice. So that's why Pelipper here runs Tera Stellar, which is what you do if you want your type-specific moves to work as normal and not be affected by Tera Override. You give the guy a Stellar Tera type, because that is a neutral type that doesn't actually affect anything. Now, a fun thing you can do with weather teams in this format is actually use the move Weather Ball to be any coverage option you want. Look at the text on Weather Ball. Power doubles and type varies in each weather. So the power will always be doubled as long as a weather is active, but you can change the type to whatever your Tera type is, and you can give, for example, Enamorous, flying type, special coverage, which it usually doesn't get. Weather Ball becomes universal coverage on rain teams or sun teams or any weather team, and it becomes really good universal coverage with 100 power. So this team right here, by the player Sheepy Sheep, utilizes Weather Ball on various Pokemon, including Raging Bolt, who is using Fairy-type Weather Ball, and this is fun because Fairy is good on Raging Bolt defensively to shield it from incoming dragon attacks and ground attacks and such, but it's also useful to have Fairy coverage on this as well. So that's fun. Venusaur here has Rock-type Weather Ball, and you can imagine how great that is to hit flying types like Zapdos and Moltres, etc. Walking Wake finally has Electric-type Weather Ball. I feel as if the Tera Override system makes weather teams a lot more interesting, doesn't it? Speaking of weather, you may be wondering, well, are sand and snow good in this format? And you'd be asking a smart question there, because yes, they absolutely are. Especially snow, and especially with Slowking Galarian, utilizing Chilly Reception. When snow is on the field, it reads that Ice-type Pokemon have a defense boost of 1.5x. I think that you can do a little bit of critical thinking here and see why that's so powerful. You can choose any type in the game to get a blanket defense boost. And on this team right here, Galarian Slowking with a Dragon Tera type can change Snow to instead grant dragon types a defensive boost. You can chilly reception into a raging bolt, and now you have a raging bolt with a damned defense boost with calm mind, and that is a frightening thought. This team is also running a Latias, and Latias also gets a defensive boost with a simple chilly reception pivot into it. And with a calm mind stored power set, that is certainly a frightening thought. Snow is not just good, it's one of the best mechanics in the game with this new system, because you can dynamically give whatever you want a defensive boost. And that certainly has powerful implications. And of course, if you want to do exactly the same thing with Sand, you may, because Sandstorm, of course, grants a special defense boost to rock types, but you can change that to whatever you want, like a dragon type for that too. You just switch out Galarian Slowking for a Sif. All of a sudden, the dragon types are getting a special defense boost, and the world was never the same. Hippo is also good with this, even though I hate that Hippo. You can't deny the value of that. And this also alters the text that says that certain types are immune to the chip damage effect. Now dragon types will not be affected by the chip damage of Sandstorm, rather than ground, rock, and steel types, as they all get overwritten by your Terra type, of course, which can be good and bad. I think Snow is more popular for the defensive boost, just because it's a little bit more powerful from Slowking Galar, and it also doesn't have that chip damage to unintentionally hinder many of your Pokemon. But it's still something worth considering, isn't it? Certainly. Now, probably the best team archetype in the game right now is a simple terrain offense taking advantage of the excellent Acrobatics normal gem combo. In this format, a powerful synergy that many have theory crafted for years at this point is actually possible. You can run Holucha with Acrobatics and basically a flying gem, because you just run Terra Flying and it turns the normal gem into a flying gem. You execute Acrobatics, consume the gem to boost the power of it, and that in turn doubles the power of Acrobatics because you have no held item at the time of damage calculation, resulting in an incredibly powerful one-turn big hit. And then from there you get Unburden activated. As soon as a held item is consumed or lost, you gain double speed. This is extraordinarily powerful, and this is such a good combo in this format that even Sceptile is used for this exact purpose. Sceptile with a normal gem, which becomes a flying gem with Acrobatics. Gruff-ii as well is used for this purpose, with the same exact Acrobatics combo. It's Acrobatics spam. And Indeedee has a flying Terra type as well to create flying terrain to boost the damage of flying type attacks, and also grant you some good old priority immunity to assist you in win condition having. Do you know who else is crazy in this format? Is Kyurem. I mean, it's true in OU as well. But you know what Kyurem can do? Kyurem can do something a little bit messed up. Kyurem can modify Freeze-Dry to gain super effective damage on any type of its choosing. Freeze-Dry here says that it's super effective on water. Now it's super effective against steel, because Kyurem has a steel Terra type. A frightening thought indeed, as steel is one of the few things that could have switched in on Kyurem before. Now you're super effective against damn Scizor, who was previously your counter. Everything's topsy-turvy with Kyurem being able to choose what super effective type from Freeze-Dry. Goodness me. Goodness gracious me. You want to know perhaps the most messed up part about this format? You're looking at it right here. Stealth Rock. Stealth Rock is one of the most powerful Pokemon moves in history, dealing damage to enemies based on their rock weakness. 25% if they're times 2 weak to rock, 50 if they're times 4. It says rock in the move. It says rock in the move, that's the name of a type, and you can change that to any type you want. You can be Stealth Water, Stealth Fairy, Stealth Bug, God forbid. You can change Stealth Rock to be any type in the game that you want. And goodness me, is this a mechanic that adds unbelievable complexity to the game, because Stealth Rock can affect so many more Pokemon by being different types. I mean, you could switch in a Garchomp on Stealth Ice, and you're taking 50% of your health. What the heck? Pokemon that are defined by being rock neutral or rock resistant and therefore sturdier are now going to perhaps lose all their health. This is Stealth Water, which of course deals super effective damage against Landorus Therian if it comes in, and Gliscor if it comes in. And think of how this impacts everything, and you gotta try to remember which Pokemon set the Stealth Rock or Stealth Water or whatever it is. You gotta remember that and try not to switch in your Landorus Therian on complete muscle memory and get destroyed by Stealth Ice. It's certainly an interesting thing that turns the metagame completely on its head, but goodness does it add unbelievable complexity to the already complex mania of Tera Override. But we all know that famous quote from Oppenheimer, who said, "Every action has an equal and opposite reaction." Was that Robert who said that one? I can't remember. Might have been Albert. I don't know who said that one, but it's the truth. It's the truth. Because even though Stealth Rock can be changed to any type, say hello here to Clodsire. Say hello here to Clodsire with boots that will never go away. With the sturdiest boots ever done. Do you see why? Do you see the reasoning? Clodsire, of course, has Water Absorb, which grants a water immunity. Changed to a Dark immunity. You are now immune to Dark type attacks and get healed even if hit by a Dark type attack. That means that you cannot be affected by the move Knock Off. Knock Off will have no effect on Clodsire, and therefore these boots are never leaving. And this Clodsire is not going to be affected by Stealth Water or Stealth Ice or Stealth Ground because it cannot lose these boots. These boots are the best boots ever created. Dark immunity is a significant part of the metagame that turns a defensive Pokemon like Clodsire into a bit of a monster with complete hazard immunity for the rest of time, thanks to Dark immunity. I suppose you can run like Mold Breaker knockoff or stuff, but for the most part, Clodsire is never losing those boots. It's never losing those boots. And all of these different Stealth Rock variants are not going to affect it. Another fun part of this metagame, not only can you be immune to whatever type you want if you have an immunity ability, making all Pokemon those abilities incredibly good, some Pokemon can also get universal coverage of any type they want, like Primarina. Because Primarina has this ability, Liquid Voice. Sound-based moves become water type. Now they can become any type, and Primarina can get Hyper Voice with a solid power to it, and have it be fire type. Or perhaps use Psychic Noise, which has the same synergy as being a sound move, but also has the extra benefit of preventing healing. But now it doesn't have to be a water type attack like it usually is with Liquid Voice. It can be any type. You can get fire coverage or fighting coverage or whatever on Primarina. Pretty significant buff to Primarina, already a good Pokemon, of course. Now, you might be wondering, wouldn't this make Sylveon insane? Wouldn't this make Sylveon really broken because Pixelate can be anything? Well, not quite, for an unfortunate reason. Take a look at this. Let's say we wanted to have Sylveon get bug coverage, for example, give it Terra Bug. So let's see what happens. Pixelate says, this Pokemon's normal type moves become Fairy type. Whoa, I can make like Fairy type Hyper Voice, that's crazy. And make it into Bug type Hyper Voice. Wait a damn second, wait a minute here. This Pokemon's normal type moves become Fairy type, so it would change your Bug type moves into Bug type moves and then boost their power. So it would effectively do nothing. Because the text that says normal type is changed to Bug by Override, and the text that says Fairy is changed to Bug by Override. So this basically just does nothing. In fact, Sylveon, if you were running it, would rather run a Stellar Terra type so Pixelate works as normal. Because it doesn't want Fairy moves to change to Fairy. That's already the case, for goodness sake. It's already the case. So these Pixelate and Aerolate and Refrigerate abilities are unfortunately no good here, unfortunately. Even though they might seem to be good at first glance or at first thought. And this is a format where you're going to see synergies that you would never have even conceived of before. Have any of you ever heard of the item Snowball? Any of you ever heard of the item Snowball? This doesn't even exist, I don't think. This is an insane, truly insane item. This item will raise the holder's attack by 1 if hit by an ice type attack. But of course, in this format, you could change that to any type you want. In this case, Dark type. If Cerulege here gets hit by a Dark type attack, it will in turn receive an attack boost, and then get a weak armor boost, and then go off to the races. I suppose if you actually Terra Dark on the same turn, it's even better because you resist Dark, and then get hit by Dark, and then go off to the races. I do wonder if you go like Terra Bug or something, get hit by U-turn, and then Snowball activates, and weak armor activates, and then you're the best Pokemon of all time. Because wouldn't a Dark type attack just kill you a lot of the time? This is teamed by Sunshine Gulch, by the way. I do wonder if Terra Bug would be smart here. Get hit by U-turn and then activate weak armor and go off to the moon. I don't know, just an idea, just a quick idea, just theory crafting. Just trying to add something to the conversation. I'd like to show you folks the insanity of this format in action. With this example of a replay, with Ninetales' son featuring Talonflame, versus Ninetales Alola Snow featuring Holucha and Bombirdier. Teams never before seen. Let's take a look. And there's a very cool synergy here that is my personal favorite synergy I've seen so far in Tera Override. Let's get right into it, why don't we, folks? Hatterene leading against the Iron Treads to get ahead of the Hazard game. And Iron Treads has a ground Terra type, you can see under its name. That means it's setting not Stealth Rock, but Stealth Ground. Steel Beam comes down, dealing a devastating crit, and the Stealth Rock that has its Tera Override in place is going to have a ground typing and affect things that are weak to ground. Like that Ninetales. How devastating Ninetales. I suppose it's exactly the same as Stealth Rock would be, but here it comes against the enemy Ninetales to stomach a Blizzard and set Sun on the field. That Ceruledge has perhaps Dark immunity with Flash Fire, being changed to Flash Dark. Flip Turn coming out from the Walking Wake as we sacrifice Hatterene to a Poltergeist. Oh dear. Poltergeist deceased. Hatterene deceased. In comes Walking Wake with presumably Weather Ball that has become electric. Getting a swift KO there. Ninetales coming in again on this Stealth Ground, taking unbelievable damage, and I don't know if Ninetales is going to stick around much longer. Because goodness me, it's getting very low. It's going to die, in fact, to another, and oh dear, Walking Wake will perish. I think that Great Tusk is desperately trying to rapid spin here to keep Ninetales alive a touch longer. And we seem to be all in on Talonflame or Lilligant here. And you'll notice something about this Talonflame. It has a Fire Terra type, meaning that it has priority on Fire type moves. Thanks to Gale Wings being modified by Tera Override. This is, so far, my favorite synergy I've seen in the format. It's very cool. Gale Fire on a Sun team with Terra Fire to click Fire move repeatedly and defeat everything with Fire type priority. Oh, that's such fun. You've remade Sand, and now you're going to outrun this Holucha and hit it with the priority Fire type attack in the Sun with Terra Fire, dipped in Mama Liz's chili oil, of course. And that gets the clean sweep at the end. Isn't that such a fun way to abuse weather with Terra Fire, Gale Fire, Talonflame? And it's being used as a special attack, a little bit uncharacteristic, but it works, and it was a fabulous win condition here. In fact, it might even be a bit of an anti-meta thing, because of all these acrobatics gamers running around. Dude, out prior the acrobatics gamers. Now, it's a bit hard to set up with, of course, Gale Wings only working at full HP. That's why you have Hatterene and the Great Tusk for serious hazard removal support. And I imagine the Talonflame also carries Roost to heal itself back up to get that prayer boost. But the idea is such fun, isn't it? The idea is very cool. This is a format that completely reinvents the entire game, makes things meta that weren't previously. And it's a wonderful idea for a custom format with unbelievable possibilities to explore. These are just some of the possibilities players have discovered so far, but I believe the metagame is extremely new. So there's so much to develop and optimize that we can scarcely even imagine. I am excited to see what sort of interesting synergies and ways to abuse this format's rules prop up in the future. And it is certainly an interesting one to play, where even though there are so many possibilities, the fact that Terra Preview is active gives you a bit of control and strategic maneuvering in the face of all this chaos that is appreciated. You have a little bit more information here than in OU, in fact. What do you guys think of this format idea? I think it's quite brilliant. And what is your favorite synergy you've seen so far? Mine is probably that Talonflame with Gale Fire, because that's fun. What about you, though? Let me know down below in the comments, and thank you very much for watching.